Just want to let you lot know that if you're watching this clip on the Fozcast YouTube channel, the full episode is now available to watch exclusively on Spotify, and it's free. Come on.
Right, next question. I want you to be deadly honest. Do players talk about their contracts with each other? So you're, I don't know, star striker A, and then star striker B comes in, and there's a contract up for renewal. It could be the Liverpool situation. I am not having it that VVD and Trent aren't having a little coffee somewhere and going, what have they offered you? They must be.
Well, look,
I don't think they do. I don't think they do.
I honestly can't answer that. I mean, in my days, I remember Barnsley getting promoted to the Premier League, and all the young lads, we weren't on great money for sure, and we remember the influx of the other players coming in and knowing they were on a lot more
the Georgie
money.
Christophs of the world.
Yeah, really did well for us. But like then, because
when
during that
players were coming through the door, then the new players, when you got Premier League money, what were the new players coming in? What were the rumours at the wages that they were earning?
Yeah, that would have been like $5,000 and $6,000. But
that was massive
that were
back then.
untold for Barnsley. I were earning £900 there.
Yeah.
So it were like untold amounts of money. But the reason I can talk about this a little bit is the fact that we knew them guys had come in on bigger money. But then during that season, because the younger lads were fighting to try and keep us in the league, we were getting to points of starting negotiations. So then it would be, well, they've offered me this and they've offered you that, but we know still that they're on that, you know what I mean? So it did. I have to transfer to you now to talk about the modern era.
There's no way on God's green earth with Boaz, not only in football, but is one of your best mates generally.
Yeah.
There's no way that you and Boaz aren't having these conversations.
I would have these conversations with Boaz. I would have them with my best mate in the football club, but nobody else. I would not be telling any of the midfielders, defenders, and I don't think they would be telling anybody else either, because, and I'll tell you why, right, is because football clubs are quite sneaky with this as well, because when they come to you and say, we are going to offer you a new contract, they make a point of saying, this needs to be done on the quiet. You don't go telling anybody else.
It's in your contract
because
as well.
We're putting you onto a wage here, which far surpasses anybody else in this club in your position. And there's no other midfielder earning this money in this football club. There's no defender on this kind of money, all right? You're on a special wage here. They love to say it. They love keep saying you're on a special. You know, you don't go telling anybody, because we'll have other people knocking on the door wanting contract on similar wages as this. So they want you to keep it quiet. However, I would have a conversation with Boaz, and I would have told him, right, I am on this wage at the minute. What they've offered me is that. What do you think? And he would give me a bit of advice of what he thinks, and vice versa as well. He would come and say to me, and when you're a number 2 goalie, for example, it would be a lot different. It would be a lot more incentive based. So the basic wage obviously is not going to be as high as a first team goalkeeper, but if he plays, his appearance fee would be much higher. If he's on the bench, guaranteed, if he's on the bench in the Premier League, he's going to be getting a bonus of some sort.
Just for being on the bench?
Just for being on the bench. When you're a sub goalie, you have to have that in your contract. The outfield players, they'll get something, but a goalie will get more, because he knows that his job that day will just be, and will be most of the season, just sitting on the bench. The chances of getting on the pitch are very slim.
Yeah, you can't incentivise him through minutes,
Exactly.
whereas the other players would have it contractually with certain amounts of minutes. If you're on for 45 minutes, 70 minutes, 30 minutes, you know what I mean? It's slightly different. But a goalie's in a unique position where they have to look after him slightly different.
This is where the importance of a good agent comes in.
Yes.
This is where a really, I know agents get a bad rep, right? But if you've got a good agent that knows their marketplace, like anybody that's good at their job, he will be able to say to you, Ben, listen, there's another team that are in a similar position to Watford or whoever, Man United, and go, I know their number 1 is on X amount.
Yes.
This is what the marketplace.
Yeah.
They need to bump you up. You need to be at 30, 40, 50, 60.
In all honesty, players should be doing this themselves as well. Players should be finding out what their market value should be. And nowadays, it's not as simple as just saying, I've been at this club for 2 or 3 years now, I've done this and that. There's so much more you've got to take into account. Like, it sounds weird, but like following, like social media following, genuinely.
I think Chelsea are quite big on this
Shirt sales, you know, like world reputation.
But this is we're talking about the absolute pointy end of it, right?
Absolute, but you've got to take everything into account nowadays. So if you sign Hernandez, Little P, Chicharito, right? If you sign him, the shirt sales that this Mexican player is going to give for this football club is X amount of millions, yeah? He can, before he signs, say, I know I'm going to make you millions.
Like at Sonny, for example.
Sonny, I
that
know
would be
I'm going to make
incredible,
you millions of pounds in shirt sales and memorabilia and merchandise. I want some of that factored into my contract.
Not only that, but it's the legacy stuff as well. So you think your first club, right, should be your only club. That will be with you for the rest of your life. So if you're converting all of these Asian, South Korean fans and they go, do you know what? My first taste of football is watching my hero, Sonny, right?
And I've been a Spurs fan ever since.
In theory, you'll be a Spurs fan ever since.
This is the extremities that some agents will go to. And I can't blame them.
It's smart.
It's smart, and I think that's where you get the real good agents and the real clever players, savvy players. Kevin De Bruyne is famous for it, wasn't he, a couple of years ago, producing a full-on like PDF
stat pack
documents data of what I've
look
done.
Look at a League
done.
One player, though. This is where I think, because it's all very clever and well done, KDB, for doing that. But your KDB, you're arguably a top 3 Premier League midfielder ever, right? And your numbers speak for themselves. Your performance speak for themselves. If you're a League One player, and let's say you're 26 years old and you're not absolutely tearing it up, this is where your agent needs to come in and really add value. This is also
what we went back to earlier about the Nathan Jones story, about the shaking that manager's hand and looking them in the eye and doing a bit of homework yourself, a bit of research yourself. So if I'm trying to sign for Accrington Stanley, I know a bit about the club, right? I know who plays in my position at that football club, and I'm going to tell the manager how at my age of 26 years old, I'm going to get better. I've already started this gym routine, which has seen my improvement from the last season. This is what I produced last season. I was sort of played out of position, but
you're
I think
selling yourself to them more.
Exactly. If I played on the right wing, I think I can produce more for you. In that position at this moment in time, you've got him. He plays a certain style. I can add this to that right wing. I'm a bit quicker, I'm a bit trickier. I might be able to get more crosses in because you've got a 6'4". That's where you need to be a little bit cleverer and sell yourself to the football club. You can't just expect somebody to take a chance on you because he looks like he might be all right.
And Watto, I would imagine that clubs outside of the Premier League and probably top half of the Championship, I would imagine that hierarchy and the manager would respond really favourably to somebody being so proactive and going, I'm doing this to improve, I'm doing that to improve. It would be great,
but that's one of the, I think, the downsides for agents, especially working and looking after lower league players, that they just become a name, and it's just a name on a list that they put into an Accrington Stanley. So if I've got a group of 20 players, but I know that 5 of them would suit this Accrington profile, I put my 5 players in, and I just leave it there. But what you need to be is a lot more proactive, and that's where I think players need to take a little bit more autonomy, because it's a tough marketplace, but you need to know that your agent's actually going in there and saying, Ben Foster, these are his attributes, and that's why I think he fits into your model, and he definitely fits in your wage
That's not enough, though, is it?
It's not enough, but you've got to give the background on that. But sometimes it's just a numbers game for agents, and that's where I think they let themselves down a little bit. Yeah. And that's where players need to know that they're getting let down, because it's just, Ben phones me as his agent. Have you put me into Accrington Stanley? Yeah, I've put you in. Not that I've had a conversation. All I've done is send an email or a text, a WhatsApp to whoever's in charge. And I've not just put Ben in, I've put my other clients in and left them to it.
Would a player ever make a phone call? So would there ever be a scenario where this is going on in the background and a player goes, I want to speak to the manager, I want to speak to the chairman and tell him why I'd be a good fit? Does that happen?
Very rarely.
I would say very rarely.
Very rarely.
How would it be taken if it did happen?
If I was a manager of a football club and I had a player come and do that to me, I would be all over it. I would love it.
Me too.
I would absolutely. It shows that he's got a bit about him.
Initiative.
I think that would be a game changer for a manager.
Be a game changer.
Because I only think they get in front of the manager when the agent texts them, when virtually everything's already sorted.
Do you know what I think it is? Having met a lot of players, I think it's a confidence thing. I think that they would be daunted and a bit scared to have that conversation.
It's scared of rejection. It'll be it's scared of the reaction, the rejection. Almost, it's an ego hit, isn't it? If it doesn't go to plan, word might get out that you've rung up somebody to try and sell yourself, and I don't think that's what it is, because I think a lot of managers nowadays would actually really appreciate that, because it shows that player, that person, that human being has got something about them.
Thanks everybody for watching. We hope you enjoyed this clip of the Fozcast. If you would like to watch the full episode, it is now available exclusively on Spotify for free.